is Darnell Washington, tight end from Georgia, 6'6" and 5/8 inches, 264 pounds, 11 inch hands. I'm going to say that again, 11-inch hands.
And tell him how big his arms are.
His arms are 34 3/8 inches.
He is
83 3/4 inch wingspan. 83.
It's like
and 3/4 inch wingspan.
It's like he came out of Godzilla's reproductive organs.
It's crazy. Well, Godzilla's got short arms.
Oh yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Strike that for the record.
But he didn't get his dad's arms.
Okay.
He got his dad's size.
His dad's tail?
Yeah, ginormous.
All right. But anyway, all right, 40. He ran the 40 in 4.64. 4.64 seconds.
He destroyed the combine.
He had a 1.57 10-yard split, for those of you that are keeping track. A 4.08 20-yard shuttle. He ran the 20-yard shuttle, dude.
Best in class.
That is really a pretty decent wide receiver. Not a great wide receiver, but a pretty decent wide receiver.
Dude, his 10-yard split of 157, like 155 and under is like great, like fantastically great. He ran a 157 at 6'7", 264.
I know. He did a 21 bench reps, which with those kind of long arms is pretty fantastic, by the way. Yeah. 122-inch broad jump, so over 10 feet. The dude, athletically, just a total freak. Last year at Georgia, he in 15 games, 28 receptions, 454 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah,
it's going to be his biggest knock. It's going to be his production.
Right.
But
he really didn't have much production before that, right?
No.
I mean, this year was by far the best he's had. But he was a blocking tight end.
He was asked to block, and you have to remember who else is
good at it. He's really good at it.
He's really good at blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see him get coached up because he needs to learn how to use his size to block. I mean, he's really good now, but like he could do better, like getting leverage, like getting. I mean, obviously 6'7", so it's gonna be hard for him
for a big guy to get low.
It is, but like he does a good job. He's ferocious.
Did you watch the combine at all? Did you watch the tight ends? Did you watch them on the sleds?
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Did you watch him on the sled?
He was pushing around like he was like carrying Chase Brown through on the field. Just
he shoved it about 8 yards deep, and it was by far like the best the sled push that anyone had done. That I saw anyway. The dude's a freak.
It's like there's like grease on the bottom of that.
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
It's a slippy, slidey all over the place.
So for a guy, he was staying low, and as soon as he was getting coached up to stay low, and as soon as he kind of engaged that, he just tossed that thing around like it was nothing.
Yeah, size-wise, he comes in like almost identical to a player that was taken in the 3rd round by the Colts last year, and that's Jelani Woods. 6'7", 259, ran a 4.6 140, a 1.62 10-yard, and they're very similar size. So like, well, Jelani Woods came in. He was a 3rd round draft pick. Where Jelani Woods is different and Darnell Washington are different is Darnell has better strength.
Yep.
And better hands.
Better hands.
Way better hands. I mean, his technique, as mentioned, it can be iffy at times blocking, but he's a really good blocker. His size makes it a little bit hard to get low. But he has a size, he could be an offensive tackle. That's how big he is. He's a giant, strong, quick. He's got really good hands and good body control.
11-inch hands, dude. He can just the amount of times that he just like sticks the hand up and grabs the ball. It's ridiculous.
He made a one-handed catch at the combine.
He did. He made one in a game.
Well, I did that too.
Yeah.
Because you count all those catches. So he had 45 career receptions.
Right.
So he comes away really impressive. A lot of things that he does. For him. Obviously a guy that's 6'7", for him, he's a little tight hip, so it's harder for him to sink in and get in and out of his breaks. So he's got really below average change of direction,
and he's a long strider. He's a guy that He'd be
lumbering.
He got that. No, not lumbering.
Long strider.
Long strider. Different. He doesn't look like he's moving fast. You know what I mean?
Gordon.
He was a long strider, but. That's where he equates. He doesn't look like he's moving fast, but all of a sudden he runs a 4.64. You know what I mean? He gets by people. He can blow by dudes in coverage.
And on tape, like he did a couple things like that. I came away impressed with his 11-inch hands. Like he used his hands at the end of his stem for separation. Mm-hmm. He used a good head fake at the end of in his route running. He uses his frame really well to box out for contested catches. Showed really strong hands. His size makes him a constant mismatch behind the line of scrimmage.
There's no one that's as tall as him, and linebackers can't keep up with him. You know what I mean? Like, no defensive back out there is going to match up with his size. Neither is a linebacker.
Yeah, and when he gets the ball in his hands, like, he gets physical. Like,
he
lays a stiff arm that's 34.5 inches long.
I can't remember who. I think it was maybe Missouri. Hold on, let me see what games I watched. It was Missouri when he caught a pass, and a defensive back, I think it was a safety, tried to come and hit him, and he knocked him over. But, you know, this dude, he fell backwards maybe a foot, and the other guy literally bounced about 3 yards backwards after he hit him. It was ridiculous.
I had to see that on tape as well. It must be one of the parts where I wrote him down that he gets absolutely ferocious with the ball in his hands at times. And I think he's going to do, good seam routes. Should do really well in zone.
So I know you brought up Jelani Woods as kind of like a comp for you. I'm going to go a little bit further back. I can't remember exactly when he played it. I think he got out of the league in 2017. Martellus Bennett came into the league to Dallas and was a blocking specialist. That's all he did in Dallas, right? And because Jason Witten was there.
Yeah.
And then he moved on to the Giants and then eventually the Bears. And when he finally got a chance with the Giants, he produced really well. He was only there for a year or so. And then he went on to Chicago, 757 yards and then 916 yards.
Couple of
good years, nothing crazy, but he was totally pigeonholed as this blocking specialist, which is, I feel like, is exactly what Darnell Washington was, and the size comparison is almost dead on.
I don't think at the NFL level, definitely the way the game's moved on, definitely a lot more 12 personnel, that he is going to get pigeonholed there, and I think has a potential to go in the first round because he offers that much upside.
But going into this season, he was completely that.
Yes, he was.
And now he already got a chance, and he was the second tight end. He was the second best tight end on Georgia, right? And he got 454 yards. I think he can go to I think he's shown enough in the NFL at the college level that the NFL people won't just see him as that blocking specialist the way that they did for Martellus Bennett. I think he's already kind of jumped past that. To your point, I think he might go in as a second tight end and actually kind of get a role. And he's good enough and athletically freakish enough to get a starting job and I think be a difference maker for a few years at least.
I agree 100%. Yeah. They could be a difference maker. When I got done watching this film, the order I watched this film in was I watched Dalton Kincaid first. And the reason I watched Kincaid first is kind of obligation with Finaro for Rookie Fever. That's the rookie sure. I picked. And I did some light scouting the rest of these guys. So I went deep into Dalton Kincaid a month ago. And then I went Michael Mayer. Then I went Darnell Washington. So again, going that preconceived notion, Michael Mayer, conceived,
right.
Number one, that's what I was expecting. I watched, Kincaid, I watched Mayer. I was a little bit, from a fantasy aspect, a little bit disappointed in Mayer. Then I watched Darnell Washington. I'm like, oh man.
Right back up, right?
I think Darnell Washington's my number 2 tight end. Well, he was at the time.
Sure.
Kincaid, Washington. It's funny because we're going to keep talking about more tight ends and how this list is going to grow.
That's what I mean.
And then Mayer.
That's why I wasn't sure exactly where Mayer was going to end up.
And I don't know where Washington ends up for me because there's a couple other tight ends we're going to talk about that and I like Washington a lot. So I feel like in a Superflex tight end premium draft, you want to have a second round pick that this is one of the guys you want to come away with. I know the running back class is deep, and I know that wide receivers are okay, but I need to get my hands on one of these tight ends. And all these guys are going to get pushed down because of the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the receivers. So you're going to get good value at the top of the second round.
You are totally going to get good value.
And when you look at his production and what you said, lack of production, he was the second best tight end on his team. Brock Bowers is an all-world tight end. He's going to be a very high NFL draft pick. He's a giant receiver. He's dominated since he was a freshman. He's the focal point of that Georgia offense.
Right.
So, yeah, Darnell Washington's kind of fallen by the wayside, and he came on this year, produced, go to the combines, absolutely crushes, and he's got a lot of room to grow. He runs a limited route tree. He doesn't get a lot of separation, but he makes it work for what he uses little tools to get his separation, and it works.
Yep.
So I'm happy to see that as well. Like I said, only 45 career receptions at Georgia.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, no, it was 7, 10, and then 28. So, and he's another young guy. So he's another 21-year-old guy. Yep. He'll be 22 right before the season starts.
August 17th, he turns 22. Yep. So he's very young as well. Very exciting prospect. I would give him. We only have 2 more weeks of breaking down these rookies. We have the receivers left. So I'm not knee deep into the receivers yet. I'm excited to see where this all class kind of shakes out for me.
Too, yeah.
Because the running back class has a lot of depth. The quarterbacks in Superflex, it literally goes Bijan, then the quarterbacks. And then where's the pick up there? You got Jackson Smith and Jigba, you have Jahmyr Gibbs. And after that, that's where it starts to get a little wide open. For me, is it going to be Josh Downs, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson, or is it going to be Devon A-Chain? Will it be Tajay Spears? Will it be Shaq Charbonnet? Or will it be Dalton Kincaid or one of these tight ends in a tight end premium league?
Yep.
So I can't wait for that all to shake out. Overall, came away very impressed with Darnell Washington. He offers a very good high upside when it comes to fantasy football production. Could break into that tier 2 of tight ends. So somebody that won't be everybody's favorite because of the production.
Right.
I think his draft pedigree will give him a boost, but that's a big thing because we talked about that with the NFL running backs, right? How's this draft going to kind of shake this out for us? How's it? I kind of feel the same way about these tight ends outside of Kincaid. How's the NFL draft going to kind of shake this out? Who gets the draft first round pedigree? Who goes to a position where they're going to see the targets? Because when we talk about Kincaid too, I have literally a 6 to midnight landing spot for him. That's going to make I would probably take him top.
Top
right
5?
After the quarter. No, because I'm taking the quarterback.
Okay.
Top 6.
Right.
If he goes to this one spot, you got to tune into the Nerd Show because I got so much to say about Kincaid.
Darnell Washington is an interesting case for the numbers people, right? Because he doesn't have great production, but he has
film.
He has awesome combine numbers. He has awesome measurables. You know what I mean? How does that all shake out? So he is going to be an interesting case. Darnell Washington, guy, I have a lot of I see as huge upside as well. So
we're on the same page. Yep. I feel like we're going to be on the same page about a lot of these tight ends. I guess if we do a show together for 9 years and been friends for so long, I guess we do kind of grow the same opinion. I think the best thing to say is we're right more than wrong. So I'm glad we both agree. I feel like we both agree on something. It's
pretty good.
A good odds.
Yep.
Right. Not 100%.
Not 100. Nobody's 100%.
And sometimes we're hey, look at in your face, Juju. I'm give me a year. Back in your face.
Back in your face. So back in your face again.